So let's actually talk about the trip.
Yeah.
So we left off. Now, were we in Ohio or was
Yes.
Okay.
We were right after Cleveland, right?
Yep. So I'll do a quick recap. And actually, I checked out the podcast since what we did last time, and I wanted to quickly inject. I left a quick part out. The inspiration for this trip, like I said as before, was like Gojira.
Mm-hmm.
And but I was in my senior year of high school, and I was in English class.
First time or the second?
Yeah, for the first time.
Yeah.
To like the initial spark of I want to skate across America. And I was sitting in English class, and the teacher's handing out these things for like, all right, here's you can sign up for different colleges and stuff like that, and everybody's filling out these pieces of paper, and I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't want to go to college.
Yeah.
Like I want to skate across America, like fuck it. Like hell, like I'm just going to skate. And like then I was just like, all right, I'll try to do it with some purpose. And I tried to raise awareness about like all the garbage in the oceans. And now this trip in 2015, I was spreading the same message, but also trying to tell people about solutions that we can do to help save the planet. Little things.
I think people I feel like people can get on board with a lot of causes, but they don't know what to do about them.
Yeah. Yep. So rather than me being all doom and gloom, everybody's got something negative to say about something.
Yeah.
That's not doing anything. That's just another person talking. So gotta be able to throw some solutions that people can actually get on board with and start to research themselves. And the ones I was talking about were these mushrooms that eat plastic, and also just little things that we can do, like turning off the light when you're not in the room, not littering, just trying to be conservative pretty much like with everything that we can.
Yeah.
And in a sense where just because we can doesn't mean we shouldn't. And
right.
So that's kind of where I was going. So quick recap, we left Cleveland. I went down the road after staying at my aunt's multi-million-dollar mansion. Got interviewed by Fox News in front of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Went down the road, stayed in a trailer that was pretty rancid.
Oh yeah.
And
you had your bike lock thing.
Yep.
And you were like ready to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Went down the road, went to a barbecue joint. I'm sorry, yeah.
I was gonna say, wasn't it like the previous owner of the trailer park was relinquished of his his title?
He passed away, and there's this one crazy guy going around thinking that he owned the trailer park. Oh, and the family that
it sounds like Trailer Park Boys, dude.
The family that I talked to, they were redneck as hell. They were all sitting out in front of a barbecue, and this one guy, like, his daughter said something, I forget what she said, and the dad is just joking around, and he looks at her like with a stink eye jokingly, and like gets the chainsaw and puts it behind her head. It was just kind of funny. He's just like, I swear to God, like it was funny. And he let me into the trailer. He was the guy that let me into the trailer. So
she was probably like, "Go Pacers! We're a Cleveland Cavaliers family." Bobby Jean. Wait, did he rev it up or just put it up to it?
He just put it up behind.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, but just like acting like he was about to. It was funny. Went down the road a little bit more. Got to eat at this barbecue joint for free. The owner gave me Jamie's number. Met up with Jamie in Sandusky later that night. Okay. She read my horoscope and let me stay at her house. Ate apple and blueberries, and the core was rotten.
Yep. Okay.
And I was doing fine the whole day. Went to a diner, kept on skating. Somebody handed me $20 out of their window. Didn't even say anything. I kept on going. I'm going through like farmland now, and there's this homeless guy in the middle of nowhere, just on this corner, and he had a sign like, "I'm hungry," and I had 2 really big chocolate chip cookies, like really thick ones that homemade, already wrapped, and I was like, "Hey man, do you want a cookie?" And he's like looking at me like, fuck no. And so I just like, oh, all right. So I sat off on the side on this porch that was like an abandoned store or something like that, and I ate the cookie myself, and the guy just stood there with a sign. He looked like a Vietnam veteran or something. Kept on going down the road, eating peanut butter and coconut oil. Eventually get to Attica, and I start having diarrhea, and I shit out all the blueberries, and I remember, oh crap, that apple. So, and then I start throwing up that night, and I'm running back and forth between the gas station. I asked around there where I could camp, and I went to the police station. They said I could camp out at these fairgrounds, and right where I camped out at was a railroad crossing. So every time a train was going by, the gates were going down, ding, 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 ding. And so I didn't sleep well that night. Went to a diner the next day. They let me eat there for free. And I went down the road, and I made it to 8,888 county route.
8,888 miles? Or
No. It was the address was
okay.
the only reason why I remember, because 888 was 162, and I was following that road, and I just passed out on this person's front lawn after I asked him if I could camp out there, or not camp out, take a nap there. I slept for like 3 hours. I wake up, and there's this giant rain cloud coming, and so they let me into their house. They gave me some cherry pie and gave me $20, and then a couple hours go by, and I check the radar, and the rain had passed. So I started walking through the rain, and then eventually it cleared up, and I start skating, and I get through this town, Tiffin, and this lady comes up, pulls up in front of me, and then is taking pictures of me as I'm skating up, and then waves me down, and she interviews me. She was part of this like newspaper there, so that was cool. I didn't even like tell them that I was coming through there. They just saw me. I made it to Findlay, and I was like, oh, I got this $20 that guy gave me. You know what? I'm gonna go to a Red Lobster, and I'm gonna eat a lobster. Like, I haven't had any meat for a while. You know what? I'll get a lobster. I'll meet the chef I'll pick it out and meet the chef who kills it. Still go by my code or my diet code, I guess, whatever. I did that, and I put my backpack across the booth from me, and I order everything, and the waitress comes up to me afterwards and goes, oh, and just to let you know, your whole meal's been taken care of. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, I didn't go into here and tell anybody, like, hey, I'm skating across America or whatever. Somebody just saw me and was like, oh, I'll pay for that guy's meal. So that was cool. That was like a $40 meal right then and there that I didn't have to pay for.
Huh.
And then I got dessert and a couple more beers after that, and it started raining more, and I was there for a couple hours. I got there probably like 7:30 or so, and chilled out there. It's getting 9 o'clock at night, and I was asked the manager if there's places to camp around there. She draws me a little map, and I see that it's raining out, and I'm like, fuck, damn it, this is gonna suck setting up in the rain. And as I'm leaving, one of the hostess girls, when I first came in there, she actually thought I was a repairman because I had the backpack on and everything. She thought I was a maintenance guy or something. And she's like, oh, so what are you doing? And I was just like, oh, well, I'm about to go set up a tent. And she was like, wait, what? And then told her the whole story of what I'm doing. And she's like, no, you're not staying out in this rain. You're going to stay at my boyfriend's house and mine. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she drives me to where her boyfriend is working. She was just getting out, and her boyfriend's like the manager of Chipotle, and he was kind of like hesitant about having me stay there. He was like, then once he saw my bag and the water pack and everything, he's like, I realized you're legit with that water pack and all the stuff I kind of checked out your bag, didn't look inside it, but all the stuff you got, like,
you get an ocular pad down.
Yeah. And I ended up passing out there. That was pretty cool. And I woke up the next day, and I only went about like 10-15 miles this day because I was pretty tired. And also, like, going the day before, I didn't sleep that good because of pooping my brains out and shit. And then walking in the rain, that also took a lot out of me too. And I also went about 50 miles that day, so a lot of it was walking in the rain. And then I...
Was that the camera?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think we're supposed to acknowledge it, but what the fuck?
I don't think we're supposed to acknowledge.
1 sec.
Does it say it's recording?
It just started up again. It says it's at 20 seconds now.
Oh, it probably just cut off. Like it does. It like stops every hour for some reason, and then starts again. Like it only records like hour-long snippets or something.
All right.
Just piece them together or whatever.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. I'm
Continue,
gonna take
sir.
a look.
Yeah. So I start knocking on doors and knock on this house. Nobody answers. I keep going and go to the next house. There's a big old party going on, and the guy is like a pastor, and his whole family's having a good sized party. And I ask him if I could camp out, and the guy's like, "Oh, you can camp out at my house right back there." And it was the house I just knocked at. So I go set up my tent, and he had horses and goats and stuff, and chilling with them, like feeding them stuff. And he had like a trampoline that he dug that was like level with the ground, and he dug out underneath it so you could like just be running on the ground and then just jump on the trampoline. It was really cool. So I did a little video there, catch everything up. And he let me shower there, fed me and everything, and took off the next day. Oh, it was raining that night pretty heavily too. Like my tent had actually started to like leak at this point. Like not leak, but it was almost like there's condensation on the inside.
Yeah, like you got enough rain on there where it started to sink through, sort of.
Yeah. And so I was just kind of like, fuck, I might have to, like,
Is that what the cloud there is for? So you can keep track of the...
Yeah, okay. What happened and stuff.
Gotcha.
And I get to Lima, Ohio, and I don't know, do you know Evan Crisafulli?
Yeah.
He was there,
no
and
shit.
He just had his baby.
That's fucking awesome.
And his parents were there, and, like, literally just had his baby, like, 2 weeks before then. So, like, I was really lucky that he even let me stay there. And
yeah, we know how you love just taking babies. They gotta be 2 weeks old. If they're any older than that, Cass doesn't take them. That's why they call them 2-week Cass. That's cool though. So you hung out with Evan and stayed there and stuff.
He let me stay there
he's a great guy. That's awesome.
I think I stayed there for like 2 or 3 days because it was raining so much, and his parents bought me like a new tarp and some tent stakes and stuff like that, and some supplies that I figured out that I needed. I've been into the trip for a couple weeks now and kind of figured out the ropes by now. And we went down this road, went into town, and went back to his house. And it started raining for like the next 2 days, heavily. And I went down that same road that we went into town to get back onto the route that I was on, Route 81, and it was flooded so bad. Like there was before when we went down the road, so you're on this road and it's about like 6-7 feet down till you get to like the cornfields. And this whole thing was the cornfields were flooded and the road was flooded over to the point where it was up to like my belly button almost. Like it was up far.
What is your deck made out of again?
Carbon fiber. Okay, so it is waterproof, but I was holding it over my head, like in my backpack, like Vietnam style, like putting everything over your head.
Right or sideways.
And frickin' there was a car in the middle of it that was like halfway submerged. And like I didn't want to have to walk all the way around all this because there's flooding everywhere throughout this county. So I could see the other side. It was a little over 200 yards. I'd have to walk through all this water. I'm like, all right, I'll start trenching it. And I'm taking off my clothes, and these two old ladies come running down the road, and they're like, "You're not going to go through that, are you?" And I was just like, "Oh, I'm skating across America, blah, 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 blah." And they're like, "Okay, well, we're going to stand here and watch you and make sure you get across safe and everything." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, sounds good." Take off my shoes, and I just got my shorts on and put everything above my head. And I start wading through this water. And the thing was, what happened was, like, not too far away, a river had overflown. Yeah. And I get halfway through this, and there's a current to it. So I'm literally, like, I'm kind of, like, bending my knees, and I'm just trudging through it, making sure I got sure footing. And at one point, my foot, like, I can't even tell where the center of the road is, really, because it's kind of, like, raised up, and then you got the 7 feet of till the crops or whatever. So I got 2 big pools of water, and I'm walking on that, like, raised leveling or whatever. And at one point, I accidentally step off the road, and my foot sticks in the mud, and I feel it, like, sinking in. I'm like, crap, 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 crap. And I'm like, I have all this weight, so I, like, recenter myself, and I start getting back towards the center of the road, and then I'm able to feel where the center of the line is just with my feet. It kind of has, like, a different texture.
Yeah, it's also up a little bit farther, it seems like, because no one ever drives on it.
Yep. It just kind of, everything bends down from there. Yeah, and I refigure myself. I get to the car that's in the middle, and I'm actually, like, pretty exhausted at this point because I'm holding all this weight, going through water that's going against me.
Right.
And I was debating, like, all right, I'll throw this backpack on the car, take a rest, and I'll keep on going. I was like, no, then I'd possibly fuck up, drop everything. So just keep going. I go the rest of the 100 yards, plop myself on the bank, and I'm just like, oh my God. And I make a video. And then right afterwards, like, the house that was right there, there's these Christian people that they were taking a video of me going through it. They thought that was my car, and I was going there to get my stuff. But I was just going through.
Should have said it was your car. They might have given you a car.
Well, it was in the middle of the water. Freaking, like, there was contact, like, lens cases floating in the car. Like, I could see, and, Jesus. Like, it was above the mirror. There was water.
Like, this is like some, like, end of the world shit.
Yeah, dude. It literally was. That's what I felt like I was going through.
Flooding can fuck off.
And then
first and foremost.
And these people's basement, they're flooding, so they're trying to pump out their basement, but they gave me a meal, and they're trying to, like, tell me about Jesus and stuff like that, and convert me to Christ. And, oh, I think the reason why you're here today is because we're supposed to tell you about Jesus and stuff. And so I'm just kind of, like,
that's such a
going along with it, like, because they're giving me food and stuff.
Yeah, okay, you gotta do that, I guess. I would have been like, no. No, what are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm just I think if somebody's passionate enough about something like that, and they want to, like, share that with you, it's kind of nice.
Yeah,
it's a nice gesture.
You gotta have the passion of the Christ, dude.
Yeah. Well, especially did they have you help out or anything like that? Like,
no, not really. They were kind of doing their own thing, but, like, at the same time, they're like, here's a sandwich and blah 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 while we're doing this. Like, they're very, very nice.
Yeah, they gotta be friendly, because otherwise they won't go to heaven.
Yep. That's the only motive. Otherwise they'd be assholes.
Yeah. What if they're wrong?
They don't want to burn in hell for literally ever.
But, like, how bad could it be, though? You ever seen
I hear that your asshole burns a lot and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of fire.
That's legitimately no different than life nowadays.
That's true.
With all the Calios
and the fleshlights and the Sharpies.
Actually, wicked quick break.
Yeah.
30, 40 seconds. Remember how we got Calios when Brian was here the other day, and I ordered the BBQC? You get Calios ever? Probably not.
Not in a long time, but sometimes I do. I'm kind of a vegetarian, so I get, like, the mac and cheese and stuff like that. Actually, I've been just getting plain. I pound it.
Plain cheese?
Plain cheese, and pound it.
Oh, my God, yeah.
It's such amazing. A deal.
Yeah.
A pound of cheese for, like, $6-7. Yeah.
The fucking... And what you do is you take the breading off, and then you just harvest the cheese, and then you got a pound of cheese.
Yeah,
free cheese. But remember when I got the barbecue chicken, but I wanted buffalo sauce in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what they did, they fucked me over. I got pissed. You know how Calios, they come in like 2?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So one of the halves was just barbecue. The other half was just buffalo. I wanted them mixed together. Well, remember when I said I'm never getting Calios again? Well, I did get it again yesterday. They did it right this time, and it was the most amazing thing ever.
Barbecue
Moral
buffalo.
of the story.
Barbecue buffalo mixed together.
I could do that like with some of my veggie combos.
And I did all the cheese and onions. Basically, you could get what I got, just don't get chicken with it.
Yeah.
And really, it'd probably be just as good because onions are great.
Yeah.
Peppers are
I'd
great.
probably get like mac and cheese in there.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
So
I had this. I tried that Dino's or whatever the other day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got
Sean was talking about that.
I got like the mac and cheese bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking good. It's just that it's $14.
Yeah.
But it's literally just got mac and cheese and bacon, and then those weird mac and cheese like it's got like a crispy outside.
Or like the baked mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese is great, man.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, like I could live every day off mac and cheese, grilled cheese sandwiches, pizza, and like every pasta, you know.
A pound of cheese.
Yeah. I just need carbs and cheese and some tomatoes. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's all I want.
That reminds me, I should probably eat today.
It's the only thing that, like, I'll eat pancakes and I'll be full of pancakes, but I can still eat mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I can still eat pizza.
Dude,
I'm full, but I'm not.
You could still
full. I'm not. My craving isn't satisfied.
I feel that.
Well, it's
dude,
fucking
the
macaroni.
the Velveeta shells and cheese, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You can't beat that. I love that
It's good.
so much.
I like the ones from Big M.
The Big M brand, or like you
the
can buy it there.
The Big M mac and cheese that they got, like with their, like, you know, all the hot stuff that you got there.
I get like chicken tenders and stuff. But
Yeah,
that little booth there, or whatever.
Yep, they got their mac and cheese is good.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good.
I like that he like grins when he says that. He's like,
yeah. I gotta eat because I totally derailed the story. I apologize.
Yeah.
I had a slice of toast and a cup of coffee, and then I had like half a thing of ramen, and that's all I've had. So
sometimes you gotta just mix in a cheese conversation once in a while.
Cheese,
dude, white people can literally talk about cheese nonstop.
Yeah. Well, there's all different kinds of cheese.
Well, the thing is, like white people, like up north, you got like the winter time. You got
Wisconsin and stuff.
Like, well, I mean, like Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you got like people that like for half the year they're in winter time, so they're gonna have to eat dairy and or meat and stuff like that to survive. So that's why a lot of other people around the world are lactose intolerant, and that's why I don't really see it in other food cultures sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't see a lot of cheese in like Asian dishes.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, because if you add cheese to an Asian dish, all of a sudden
gross.
it's disgusting. Yeah, if you replace bread, or if you replace rice with bread, or rice with like you can't mess with certain things, man.
Rice and cheese though is good. Drink
it. Talks about pouring beer on my bed and actually does it anyway. Clean sheets.
I got it right.
Jokes about it.
I'm sorry. I'm fucking done.
Oh boy. Oh yeah. So
okay, continue. I'm just gonna fucking kill myself.
They gave me a sandwich, and I kept on going on my way, and I'm going through like farm country, going through fields of corn and stuff like that, but they're all flooded, and sometimes the road is flooded, so I gotta take off my shoes and waddle through it, but nothing like I waddled through before, like up to my waist.
You are a good waddler. That's for sure.
And eventually that day I make it to Indiana, and when I pass the border of Indiana, I see this guy and on the side of the road, and I ask him if I could, or if he knows any place I can camp, and he lets me stay at his house, and his roof had gotten torn off by a tornado, So, like, all the walls were, like, normal, except, like, the roof was, like, a new roof that is just attached to everything.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to realize, like, oh, I'm starting to get into tornado country.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm around a bunch of flooding and stuff like that, and it starts raining, and it doesn't stop for the next 2 days, so... And this was another one of those houses where I tied the padlock around my wrist, because this guy was pretty redneck, and... He let me stay at his house, though. It was really awesome. But the thing was, like, he drove me into town one day because I needed to get some stuff, and he cracked about 5 or 6 beers.
Like on the drive-in?
On the drive-in and back. He finished a 12-pack on the drive and, like, had, that was this guy's life source.
Well, he has to deal with tornadoes all the time, so...
And he was like it was just ridiculous. Like, so, like, that was honestly the first time I've ever been in the car with, like, a drunk driver, like an actual drunk driver.
Yeah.
Or he just has a tolerance.
Yeah.
And he's fine.
Well,
That's how he maintains.
Yeah, that's fucked, man. That shit's scary, though.
It was very weird, but the worst part was he had a bunch of cats, like, living under the house and in the barn. And
wait, were they his cats or like strays and stuff?
They were his strays, and he was just like, yeah, I only keep them there to keep the mice away. That's the only thing I give them is mice, like, which is like, so I'm like, whoa, so these things are like starving. And he says he kicks them and stuff like that, and a couple of them are like hobbling like one of their legs up, like they've been hurt and stuff like that. There's a bunch of kittens. I love cats, and whenever I go out and pet one, like, they all run away from me and hissing at me. So I'm like, oh, damn. I go, and when this guy was at work, I went through his cupboards. He said I could have whatever I wanted from his food. And I
Don't touch the PBR, though.
I took a few I took a few cans of tuna, and I gave it out to him and stuff like that. And I don't know, I didn't call, like, animal protection or anything like that, which I kind of should have, but, like, I don't know. It was because the dude hooked me up, like, went out and bought me a bunch of protein bars and stuff like that, and let me stay at his house and stuff like that, fed me, and so, but it was I couldn't stay there anymore once I found out that he, like, was kicking cats and stuff like that, even though it was raining. So I stayed there for 2 nights and left the next day at like 6 a.m, walking down in the rain in a poncho, and a bunch of Amish houses all around me, like no power lines connected to them and stuff like that, and a bunch of Amish people looking at me weird.
Yeah.
And I eventually get to this town called Portland and stay at Burger King, charge my phone, and check out the Wi-Fi and stuff. And this is when I found out that one kid did that shooting in that church, that one black church.
Oh, in Tennessee?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I found out that happened, and I'm just sitting in Burger King, and it's just literally on loop over and over and over again. And it was just kind of like getting old. I was just like, yo, I got to get out of here. I'm sick of hearing this over and over again. And I keep going down the road, and it eventually clears up after I chill out at this gas station. This guy gives me, I'm right about like here right now.
All right.
And this guy gives me a coat, like a Gore-Tex army coat that has like a shit ton of pockets. It's waterproof. It's a really awesome army coat. And so I start wearing that, and I keep going down the road. And there's this road has a bunch of construction on it, and I go up to one of the people that's like has their trucks parked right like at the construction area, and I'm like, hey, is there like a detour around this or whatever? And he's like, oh, I'm going around, I'll give you a ride. And I was just like, all right, sure, this will be kind of like my first ride of the trip, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just going around this detour. Freaking the dude ends up getting lost and freaking drops me off at this place near Gas City. And do you guys know that guy James Dean, the old actor?
Yeah. James Dean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have a giant cardboard cutout.
He was buried there, so I got to see his grave. And I got back on track, and then I kept on going back down the road, and I made it to Alexandria. And there's this guy, he was loading up his lawnmower on the back of his truck, and I asked him, like, excuse me, sir, you know any place where I could camp for the night? I'm skating across America, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, no way. And he goes into his truck, and he pulls out a camera. And he's just like, what are you doing? And he just starts filming me, and I go through my whole spiel again. And then he makes a video of it afterwards. He was just like, oh, this guy's awesome. I let him stay at my brother's house or at my parents' old house that his brother owned.
I thought he was going to go into his truck and pull a bunch of other people out that were skating across the
And
No way.
He's just
I
like,
got a whole bunch of...
He's like, wait. Goes in and grabs like a pad of paper, and he's like, finally, and checks it off, and it's just this whole thing of, it's like a whole bucket list. And it's like, met somebody that's skateboarding across America. And then he's just like, hey, oh, and then he goes up into heaven.
Finally, he's like a genie, and now he's finally able to
Turns
go.
into Robin Williams.
Freaking, so he drives me to his old parents' house, and they let me sleep in the garage. So they open up the garage doors, and they had a shit ton of like weapons in there. They had like a 50 cal. They had like a fucking
RPG.
There's a bunch of I'm not good with names of guns, but they look like AK-47s. They look like AR-15s, like all those guns with the clips in them and stuff like that. It was just a bunch of different ones and
Just
stuff like that.
assault rifles.
There's like this like old fashioned like cowboy whip on there. There's a bunch of katanas on the wall. There's like nunchucks and stuff. So they let me stay there, and like I was making videos of me playing with the weapons and stuff like that. The melee weapons, not the guns or anything. But it was that was pretty cool, and I got to stay there that night. Camped out. I since like my tent like a few nights before like I said had started leaking, I set up my tent inside the garage there, and I got like some of that silicone spray, and I like sprayed the inside and outside.
The Flex Seal.
Yeah. And
I'm Phil Swift here with Flex Seal. I sawed this boat in half.
you got to get a lot of those. I actually did buy a can of those, and it only covered like one side of my tent. Like good, you'd
The
have
whole
to.
can?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So like you gotta. It comes out like stringy too, kind of.
Yeah. It's liquid rubber in a can.
And so I stayed there, and I wake up the next day, and the guy's brother is waking me up, and like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, oh, you sleep good, and ends up giving me $100 bill for staying there. And he's like, here, got the boys together, told them what you were doing, and we all pitched in, and blah blah blah.
Thanks for staying here.
Yeah. And
How come hotels don't do that shit?
I go down, and yeah, that'd be great.
Thanks for staying here. It's $100.
Please recommend us.
Hashtag days in.
Freaking go eat at this diner, and I kind of tell them what I'm doing. They let me eat there for free, and that was pretty cool. And I keep going down the road, and I'm out of this town now and out on the country outskirts, and this dog just comes running out at me, and I like stop and kind of like get it to calm down, and the lady comes out, and I make sure it doesn't run out in the road, and comes out, she gets the dog, and then I keep skating away, and then she comes down, and she is driving, and she like pulls over and asks me what I'm doing, and I tell her, and she kind of like starts tearing up, and she's like, oh, you remind me of my son. He got hit by a car a couple years ago. He was like 20 or something years old, or like I don't really remember, but he was like 20 or something years old. He'd be about your age now, and blah 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 blah. And like, so like she was kind of like tearing up, and she's like, can I get you some food or something like that? And I was just like, yeah, meet me down in the next town. And it was like 10 miles away.
You should have said you were her son. Be like, it's me. It's me, Mom. I'm back.
Oh no.
She would have let you stay there.
Oh my god, but no.
And she let me get a meal, and I kept on going down the road, and eventually made it to this one town, Frankfurt, and there was this Chinese restaurant. I went there, and I ate there. I didn't eat there for free, but I kept going, and then this skateboarder kid saw me on like the side of the road, and he like pulled over, took a picture with me, and then I keep going down the road, and the road that I'm supposed to be going on says like go down this road, detour, this road is being worked on. And I'm like, crap, I can't go around. Like anything around is going to take me days and days to go around. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just keep on going through. And it was a lot of like dirt roads and stuff like that, and gravel. So I was picking up my skateboard a lot. And I end up camping out at this person's house, wake up early the next day, and I only had to go like about 30 or 40 miles, and I made it to Danville, Illinois. And so this is my first day in Illinois, and I'm looking for a place to camp, and I can't really, nobody's letting me camp at their house, and keep on knocking on doors, and I get probably knocked on over a dozen houses, and nobody's there or say yes or anything. So I'm like, all right, I'll go to Walmart, and I'll ask them if I can camp out around there, because I know that Walmart is camper friendly. They'll let you park your camper there for a night and then keep on going. So I go there, I talk to a manager. The manager shows me where to set up my tent and everything. And he goes, oh, I'm going to tell this guy that you're here and blah, 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 blah. I'm about to leave. It's the end of my shift. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just going to go into town and get something to eat. And I actually didn't even really go into town. I just stayed in the parking lot of Walmart. There was a Burger King, so I just went there and ate there, charged my phone, got to use the Wi-Fi and stuff. And some of the people at Burger King, I told them what I was doing. And the Burger King ended up closing at about 10 o'clock. So they kicked me out, and I start walking back to my tent. And there's these 3 groups of cars all parked in a circle in the Walmart parking lot. And they're all not together, though. They're all far enough where they're all separate groups. And I'm walking past one of these groups, and I hear, hey, it's the whale guy. And one of the girls that was working at Burger King got out of work, and she was just chilling at one of those circles there. And these kids in this town have nothing else to do, literally, other than we'll all drive our cars down to Walmart, and we'll park in a circle, and we'll all just hang out, smoke cigarettes, and chill. Like, that's what they do. And I'm hanging out with them, skating, telling them stories and stuff like that. And one of the other groups starts doing, like, burnouts in the parking lot. And then the cops come, because somebody called the cops on that group. They came over to our group, and they didn't care that we were just chilling there. They were like, just came over to talk to us, see what happened.
Like, I remember when I was just chilling in Walmart.
And then I chill there for a couple hours, and the whole time there's heat lightning going around. So like there's just flashes of lightning all around, but there's no rain. And the whole time I don't say anything, but then eventually like it's midnight now, and I sit down and I just look up at the heat lightning because it is beautiful, and I go, wow, I can't believe it's not raining. It starts pouring, like literally like buckets, like literally just down pouring.
Classic.
And, like I said,
don't you
the
watch
magic
movies,
word.
dude? That's how it happens.
Yeah, you're not supposed to say that.
And the people are like, "Oh, you wanna get in the car with us?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's okay. I'll go into my tent and stuff like that." I go running behind the Walmart where I set up my tent, and I'm running, and I go up and I don't see my tent there. And I'm like, fuck. So I run up and my tent is completely flat on the ground, except the bump where my backpack is that I left in the tent. I took all my valuables with me. Cameras and my wallet and stuff. And I'm like, fuck, damn it. It just started raining like 30 seconds ago. Like, my tent should be able to withstand this. It's raining hard, but it's not,
Yeah.
you know? So like, fuck, okay, I'll just set up my tent again. And I'm going to set up the tent and the poles are broken. And I'm like, fuck. And I unzip it and there's, so here's the doorway that I'm going into. On the right side wall, there's 3 clean slits through the tent. So I'm like, somebody saw my tent and fucked with it, like trampled it and fucking took a knife and slit my tent or whatever. I was like, fuck. Well, I got to get my stuff, and at least I'm right behind a Walmart where I can buy a tent. Perfect. Cool. Awesome.
There's
And
a Walmart, like, they had a promotion for tents. They're like, fuck this guy. Let's get him to buy one of ours.
And wow, I never thought of that one.
Tent, it says tent blowout sale on the fucking front of Walmart.
And so I go into the tent. I'm getting all my stuff, and I'm quickly checking to see if my bag's been fucked with. And surprisingly, nobody went in my bag or anything like that, from what I can tell and still tell. I'm like in this wet bag of a fucking tent. It's like everything's sticking to me, and like fuck. I get out of it and I'm like, all right, I'll pick this up tomorrow. Abandoned ship. I don't want to litter, but I'll clean this up later. Throw my backpack on. And, the people in the parking lot, one of the girls, they went into Walmart and they bought me, I didn't know it existed, dry shampoo. Like, you spray it on your hair and you just, it's just the same as shampoo. It like cleans your hair just by spraying it, and it was a lifesaver. And they bought me wet wipes because they knew, like, I told them, I was like, sometimes I can't shower, so I just like go into a bathroom, and so they bought me a bunch of wet wipes. So that ended up being pretty cool. And but I get out of my tent and I have those bags in my hand, my bag on my back, and a cop is whipping around at Walmart and tells me to get on the ground and put my stuff on the ground. I'm like, okay, and I do, and I tell him. Or he tells me to get up, put my stuff in the back of the cop car, and I tell him, like, yeah, my dad used to be a cop, it's all good. And I'm wearing like an army camouflage rain gear now. Yeah. So like I feel like I look intimidating, so I'm just had my hands up the whole time, just making sure that he can see. And frickin' he's like, is there any weapons on you? And I was like, I think I got a little pocket knife in here, like, and he's trying to feel around my coat, and there's so many pockets he can't figure out how to get into the pocket. He's like, how do I get in here? I was like, here, like, and showed him how to get in and stuff. And he puts me in the back of the cop car, and I'm sitting on like a plastic seat, and there's like a piece of plexiglass or glass in between me and like the next seat over. And so I'm in a glass box, and there's a camera right in front of me, and it says, you are being recorded. Anything you say can be used against you. And blah,
You're
blah,
on like
blah.
one of those fucking prank shows.
And freaking, he gets in the car and he goes, who you been talking to? And I'm like, and the kids in the parking lot, they actually like smoked me up. And this was one of the first times I'd smoked on the trip. Actually, like, this is like the second or third time I've actually smoked on the trip, so I'm really baked. My heart's pounding, like, because also, like, you know, when you're talking to a cop, and even when you've done nothing wrong, like, your heart's pounding. So I'm like, who you been talking to? And I'm like, nobody. Like, I'm skateboarding across America, trying to raise awareness about the current state of our oceans, and I'm from New York, and like I'm going through the whole spiel. I was like, can I just tell you? Can I tell you my spiel that I've been telling everybody? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, right now? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Hi, my name's Cassidy Barney. I'm raising awareness about blah 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 blah. I go through the whole spiel, and I tell him, like, I got permission to camp here. And he pulls up to the front of the Walmart, goes and talks to the manager, and comes back and he's like, yeah, no, they don't want you here. They never had any word that you were here. And I was just like, and I could see the manager that they were talking to was like a guy with dreads. And the guy I talked to was like a white guy with glasses. And I was just like, yeah, that wasn't the manager I talked to, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, well, he didn't communicate that information on to the next manager, and they don't want you here. And I was just like, can I go in and buy a tent? Like, and they're like, no, they don't want you on the grounds at all. So I was just like, what the fuck? And I kind of got pissed in the cop car for a second. I was like, I'm not mad at you. I'm fucking pissed at Walmart right now. And like, they dropped me off at a random bus stop, and like, he forgets to give me my knife back. I forget to ask for it. And it was a little pocket knife somebody gave me on the trip a couple towns before. And frickin' they dropped me off and just leave me there, and I wringing out my socks, and I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna fucking do now? Like, so I get on Facebook, and some of the kids in the parking lot, they friend requested me, so I hit some of them up, but they're only like 16 years old, and like,
yeah, but they can go buy a tent for you.
Well,
you don't have to be 18.
I call up one of the kids, he calls up one of the other kids that was in the group, and takes a couple hours, but they come and they pick me up at that bus stop, and they bring me to their house, and their house actually got broken into earlier that day. Their Xbox had been stolen, everything was a mess, their toilet wasn't working, like
Walmart's
wasn't flushing.
fucking robbing everybody then.
And their door was off the hinges. There's moths and bugs flying throughout the house. The couch was like a 2-seater like this one, and they let me sleep on that. But it was out of the rain, so I was grateful. But I didn't really sleep that well because, you know.
Yeah.
And but I before I went to sleep, I was like still all pumped up. They went back to the Walmart parking lot. It's pouring out now. And one of the kids was vaping in the back, and they're like, all the kids are still parked in the circle, but now what they're doing is they're like, oh, I got this rumor, blah, 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 and then this kid goes over to that car and is just like, oh, this is what that person, blah, 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 and it's just like, they're all going to different cars, and they're all vaping and stuff like that, and so it was different. Like, I don't see kids hanging out in Walmart parking lots like it's normal and stuff like that. Like, it was really funny.
Sure, it's definitely different.
And
what else are you gonna do in Illinois? Root for the Bears?
Fuck
It's
that
probably
shit.
better to hang out at Walmart.
And freaking I just wake up the next day, I go to Walmart, and I tell them, like, pretty much like, fuck you, like, this is what happened to me. And the manager's just like, oh, I'll get those managers to give you a call. And I like looked at him, I was like, that's not gonna do fucking shit. Like, that was so far like one of the worst experiences on my trip so far.
The thing that pissed me off about that was, like, they had no reason to fucking ruin your tent. I could see if they took it down, but they fucking destroyed it.
I don't know if Walmart did it though.
Oh.
That's the
could
thing.
Have been one of the kids.
Yeah, it literally could have been one of the kids ran back behind Walmart and fucked with me or something like that. It could have been a homeless person. Yeah.
Unless they were having a blowout tent sale.
I'm blaming Walmart.
Apparently they saw me running back there, and then they called the cops because they thought I was going to do something or something like that. Even though I had permission to camp there. I mean, already.
What would you think? I don't understand what they thought you had that they wanted. You know? Yeah. Even if they wanted to steal shit from you, it's like, what do they really think a guy that's going across the country on a skateboard has that's valuable to them?
A skateboard?
I think they were just fucking with me. Just like somebody saw a tent back there. Oh, let's fuck with this guy. Like, you know, like some 14-year-old, 13-year-old kid just fucking fuck the world, you know?
Haha, this will be funny.
Yeah. Exactly. That's, I think, was probably what happened. And,
put this on YouTube.
Yeah. I get up, go to Walmart, tell them fuck you, make a video in front of Walmart explaining the whole story that I just said, and upload it at the Burger King. And this lady that's there, she overhears me, and she's like, oh, you can shower at my house, and offers me some food. And I get about 10, 15 miles or so down the road, and I'm beat. I didn't sleep that well the night before because of all that. And start knocking on doors. First person doesn't answer. second person. They tell me no, and I turn around and I see this girl in well, she's older than me. She's like, but see this lady in like a bright neon shirt, and I was like, excuse me, blah 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 blah, like I'm skating across America, blah 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 blah. I show her my map, and I show her my ID because
it's so funny if you actually said that. I'm skating across America, blah 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 blah. Freak people out. Freak people the fuck out.
And
sure you are, honey.
And she's like, oh well, my boyfriend's not home, but he'll be home at like 7, so if you want to like wait around. I'm like, yeah, sure, like if you want, my YouTube channel's this, you can check me out and see my videos that I posted already so that you know I'm legit. Here's my ID, like look, I'm from New York. I've had to do that to a few people because they're like, you're not from New York, and I'm like, yeah, here's my ID. Like,
yeah, here's my ID. I printed it out with my printer.
And
photoshopped it.
I start walking back down the road, and the first guy that I knocked on the house, he comes back out and was like, you guy that knocked on the house? And yeah, and gives me a beer, and I drink that. And he gives me a bunch of stuff from my backpack and stuff, like more silicone spray so that my backpack can become water sealant now. And I'm talking to him, and then I see the girl that I just talked to and this guy and this little kid start walking down the road where I told them I was going to be at the pavilion. They start walking towards the pavilion.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. I'm like, hey guys, I'm over here. And they come back over and they help me throw my backpack over the fence into their lawn because I was like in their backyard, pretty much like a driveway behind their back lawn. Throw my stuff over the fence, hop over the fence, and this guy, Avery, who at first I assumed was her boyfriend, was actually her like cousin or something like that. And she called him up and was like, yo, I got this guy, he's skating across the country, he seems really cool, I want to invite him, but there's no other, like, I'm the only woman in the house, so like I don't want to be like the only one here with him.
Yeah.
So she calls him over, and he's friendly as all hell. He's like hooking me up. He's like, here brother, I got you, and he's giving me drinks and he's smoking me up, and like to the point where like I was tripping. I was so high, like I was getting paranoid. I was just like, and he's just like, the night's just getting started, brother. And he's all pumped up.
Classic Avery. That's so him. And
then they had a drum set there. They had guitars and stuff like that. A whole jam set up. And eventually her boyfriend, Biscuit, comes there. Her name's Brandy. So Biscuit and Brandy. Her boyfriend comes home. He has like a big beard, some dreads. And I'm so high, and like he's like, I'm looking at him, and he's like almost looking at me like, what are you doing in my house? And I'm like explaining to what I'm doing. I'm like, and I'm so nervous because I'm so high and everything. And like,
Avery said,
and then like he seemed like a real cool dude. He was just quiet. And then I was like, yo, you want to jam? And he played guitar and I played drums. And that I got to jam with him, and we like, it was actually really cool because like we jammed together really well, and I've never played with him before, never knew what he played. We just hit it off. And this was Father's Day, and the next day my dad was actually driving up from New Mexico. My dad just moved down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he was driving back, and he had a pack of Santa Fe black IPAs from Santa Fe, New Mexico that he got for me because he knows they were my favorite beer. And brings them up, and he actually ends up staying there a day too. So I ended up chilling at these person's house for like 2 days, and my dad chilled with them too for a night. And it was really cool. They were really cool. So the lesson that I learned from that was, like, if I didn't have that shitty experience in Walmart the night before, I would have been another 20 miles down the road. I would have never met these people and stuff like that. So it was like sometimes bad things happen in your life to put you in the right place. Mm-hmm. Like kind of like an arrow. You're held back and then you launched in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's like, and oh, here's the crazy thing. That later that night, they're like, "Yo, you talk a lot of stuff about like the same stuff that our guy David talks about. We got to call him and have him come over." He comes over and like he's talking about some spiritual stuff, and like I'm saying something and he completes my sentence, and he's saying something and I complete his sentence, and I can tell he's about to ask me a question. And
Are you my son? You was hit by a car a few years ago.
and I go, "Do you know who Drumvalo Melchizedek is?" And he starts losing it, because he's the author of that one book I talked to you guys about.
The one that you saw on the road, or
yep.
the sidewalk.
Yep. Serpent of Light. And so it was like the universe. I just looked up, and I was just like, I was talking to God at this point, and I was just like, yes, I'm here. I understand. I'm supposed to be here now. Like, yes. Like, and like, I was like pretty much shouting at God, like, I get it. I fucking get it. Like, I'm supposed to be here. Like, I understand now. And, frickin' he was talking, they listened to Gojira too. They listened to like, they read the Flower of Life books, like the ones that I was talking about. Have I talked to you guys about the Flower of Life? Maura Drumvalo's books?
No. You and I have spoken about it before.
I
have a tattoo of it.
Yeah,
right?
I got it tattooed on my chest.
Oh yeah, okay.
I have
and
I
it's
have a jacket with that on it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Frickin'
That's really cool.
It contains every mathematical formula, every note in music, every shape, every proportion of the human body. If you take one of the smaller circles and compare it to the big circle, it's the size of the moon to the earth, and a whole bunch of other crazy proportions. It's like pretty much the blueprints of life and
I remember
everything.
seeing something about it. It was probably you that was talking about it at some point.
So it was like really cool, and he said that he never met anybody that has also like read these books other than online or something like that. So it was the universe slapping me in the face, being like, I'm putting you in the right place.
Yeah.
And the next day, my dad, we drove about 20 miles down the road, and my dad got me breakfast in the town that was just down, and Rantoul, and ate there. And and then I had to say goodbye to my dad and Biscuit and Brandy, who ate breakfast with us. We ate at this like Mexican restaurant, and I'll be honest, I teared up as like I was saying goodbye to them. Like it felt like I was starting the trip over again. Like freaking like almost like I was saying goodbye to everybody. Like, oh, all right, here's my death. Like
you don't know if you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yep.
All right, let's pause.
Spoiler alert.
Let's pause there. Spoiler, he does make it. All right, we'll be back shortly. Clear Shots Podcast is available on any of your favorite podcasting websites or applications. You can check us out at clearshotspodcast.com to hear any of the episodes. Also, follow us on Facebook. I think it's facebook.com/clearshotspodcast to get there. And you can also check us out on Twitter at clearshotspod. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.